Thank you all and welcome back to Trust All Truth. This is Emmanuel here, and today's topic is prejudice. We're going to list off the things that the encompasses. So what does prejudice stem from? So in that, prejudice encompasses ignorance, fear, can be fear-based, it's not always, can be fear-based. It can be stereotype. It can be conscious or subconscious. I would classify as the most readily forms of prejudice, encompasses of prejudice, which can be, now we go into the different forms of prejudice. The first, physical traits. Physical traits, how do we also prejudge people? I mean, we got skin color, height, sex/gender, operative, in terms of like ability, age. So those are prejudice based off physical trait. Then we got social status, profession, neighborhood, so your income, if they know it, social circle. Then we can break these down and they get even further, but that's not, that's simple. I guess it's not that simple. Depends on who the audience. We've got these different types of prejudice for these different things. And please continue listening out. You can provide more to the list, so this can be a very detailed list of the reality. So if the prejudice, whether or not they encompass all of these things, or whether it's subconscious or unconscious, is the first part, which could lead to the ignorance factor. We should not. This is what makes us as humans different than animals, is the capability to disregard our prejudices to accurately determine what a threat is. Those are the products of, or what creates prejudice. But what is prejudice used for? So in action, we'll use green. In action, prejudice does what? It makes you feel safe, a security, mental security, right? It gives you that sense of control of a situation. When we're being prejudiced, we are taking detail to give us a sense of control over a situation that we don't understand. When we don't know something, it makes us feel vulnerable, and that's natural, and that's a good thing. Not feeling comfortable or being concerned in an area that you are unfamiliar with is good, but it's then imperative of you to learn more about that area and that environment if you're choosing to stay within it. If it's something in society that you can't morally or ethically get away from. And as I've said time and time again, your emotions will influence your actions. So out of prejudice, people then limit them. If you don't choose to act outside of the big thing, ignorance, whether that's by circumstance, ignorance, that's an ignorance. Whether that's by circumstance or that's by choice, you can be willfully or unknowingly ignorant. So when we are presented with areas where we see ourselves using prejudice, we have to acknowledge that. We have to realize that first. So if it's something we're concerned about, if something we're fearful of, understand we're fearful because we don't understand it. If we realize the threat, then our expectations, we will know what to expect. More accurately, more dependably know what to expect. Whether or not that is for the totality of the experience, because things change. If we're ignorant, we're more so going to operate based off past experience, that has nothing to do with the situation at hand. Because then we wouldn't be prejudging. It would be past experience with the same thing. Also, if you're considering a personality thing, any of these things that are able to change and has changed, but you didn't know it changed, you're still being prejudiced. That's why it's very important to know if someone's being intentionally prejudiced or prejudiced because of circumstance, right? Because they just don't know and don't know they need to know, or something's been hidden from them intentionally. You can be forced to be prejudiced by indoctrination. Prejudice can be taught, as well as there being That's still learned, a learned prejudice. I guess I'm really saying helpful and harmful because all prejudice is learned. But we're going from harmful prejudice versus beneficial prejudice, or the ways that they can be used to be beneficial. Number one, benefit, predator identification. I'm just going to put ID, predator ID. So when we're relating this to prejudice and the fear of something, is your fear of it rightful? Are you basing it off your own experience or someone else's experience? So predator ID. So if this thing has all the qualities of something you've once been perpetrated, it helps you be able to be concerned and have possible expectations for that, right? In terms of more instinctual, animalistic behavior, what does that come in to hurt? What is that harm? It's harmful for humans because prejudice with humans is different. We are the same race. We should not be each other's natural enemy, but we are. So it's harmful. Number one thing currently, as this video is being filmed, is race. Because of skin color, because of operative ability, gender, race. When you, as a human, when we all have the same human capabilities, and that's race based off particular physical traits, right? And that is being used as a prejudicial initiate. What's another one that's beneficial? Chemical ID. And this is the thing, prejudice is more prevalent in our lives than people want to admit. It's so necessary and so useful. Nearly everything we do is prejudice, because every day when we interact with something that is alive, right, or has a possibility to change, the expectations that we have are based on our prior experience with that live thing, which that thing could have changed as well through its experiences. So every time we are interacting with something that can change, we are being prejudiced towards that thing. But that is a good thing, because sometimes that's a good thing because it holds an expectation for things that we could possibly avoid for safety, right? I'm going to leave that there. That's an opening thing. This is not my place to do it because I consider it too much. And I'd be more than happy to co-teach this lesson, but this is one I'm just introducing is that. Be blessed, stay blessed, and I'll bring someone in for this lesson.